twin brothers, and they hit People magazine's list of the sexiest men alive. And together, they can dramatically boost your home's resale value. They are the Property Brothers.
The Property Brothers built an empire on transforming houses. But what happens when the foundation of your own life begins to crack? Drew Scott, the smiling face of real estate television, was secretly fighting a battle for his life. A mysterious ailment left him weak and in constant pain, threatening everything he had worked for. This is the untold story of his heartbreaking journey through darkness and his fight to come back. The Early Hustle. On April 28, 1978, in Vancouver, Canada, a pair of identical twins named Drew and Jonathan Scott were born. As the youngest members of the Scott family, their lives were shaped from the very beginning by a unique blend of creativity and hard work. Their parents, Jim and Joanne Scott, created a home where dreaming big and working hard went hand in hand. The thing nobody tells you is that their father, Jim, had a past in the Hollywood film industry. His time as an actor and stuntman gave him a unique view on life, and he filled the boys' childhoods with stories of movie sets and cameras. He later left that world to focus on his family and life on a ranch, but those stories planted a seed of fascination with entertainment in his sons. At the same time, their mother, Joanne, was a paralegal who made sure the boys understood the importance of education and discipline. From a very young age, Drew and Jonathan were full of energy and imagination. They were not the kind of kids who sat around waiting for things to happen. Their father believed in teaching them the value of effort early on. When they were just 7 years old, he began giving them small jobs around the house for pay. By the time they were 8, the twins had launched their first business. Believe it or not, they started making nylon-wrapped hangers. It was a simple idea, but they took it seriously. They went door to door in their neighborhood, using their natural charm to sell their handmade products. It was a tough lesson in sales and rejection, but it paid off. A woman who ran a business selling American products in Japan was so impressed that she placed a massive order for thousands of their hangers. For two young boys, this was more than just a sale. It was proof that their hard work could lead to real success. This early venture taught them lessons that would stick with them for life. They learned how to negotiate, how to talk to people, and how to keep going even when someone said no. As they got older, their ambitions grew. They trained as clowns and performed at children's parties, learning how to entertain a crowd and think on their feet. For a while, Drew thought his future was in sports. He was a talented basketball player and dreamed of playing professionally. What many overlooked is that a series of injuries ended that dream, forcing him to find a new path. That path led him back to the world of entertainment that his father had introduced him to. He started taking small roles, even working as a body double for Tom Welling on the show Smallville. These experiences gave him a behind-the-scenes look at how television was made. Jonathan, meanwhile, was more interested in design and magic, but he always supported his brother's dreams. As they prepared to go to university, another opportunity appeared that would quietly change their lives forever. They had a business that sold hangers, but a passion for real estate was just around the corner. More shows, more problems. When Drew and Jonathan Scott started at the University of Calgary, they were determined to avoid student debt. You see, they had already learned the power of entrepreneurship. They found a rundown house near the campus and saw it not as a problem, but as an opportunity. They put down a small deposit, took over the mortgage, and poured their energy into fixing it up. Jonathan used his natural talent for construction, while Drew handled the business side. They renovated the entire property and rented it out to other students, making a steady profit. This first flip was a huge success. After that, they were hooked. They started flipping more houses, and their reputation began to grow. But they often ran into problems with real estate agents who were slow or unreliable. To solve this, Drew decided to get his own real estate license. This move was a game changer. With Drew as the licensed agent and Jonathan as the contractor, they had full control. They soon founded Scott Real Estate, their first official company. Even with their success in real estate, Drew never gave up on his dream of a career in entertainment. In 2002, he, Jonathan, and their older brother J.D. started an independent film production company. To put it mildly, Drew was determined to make it in Hollywood. He eventually moved to Vancouver to pursue acting full-time, while Jonathan stayed behind to manage their real estate business. But the life of an aspiring actor was tough. Drew found himself struggling financially and fell deep into debt. It was a heartbreaking setback, but he refused to give up. He started flipping houses in Vancouver to support himself while he continued to audition. It was during this time that the idea for a TV show began to form. Drew started pitching a show that would combine his two passions, real estate and entertainment. Many people are crazy about home renovation shows, and he knew he had a unique angle. Initially, a production company called Cineflix was developing a show called Realtor Idol, a competition-style show for real estate agents. When that idea failed, they retooled it as My Dream Home and considered Drew as a host. But when the producers learned he had a twin brother who was a contractor, a light bulb went off. The combination of a realtor and a contractor, who were also identical twins, was too good to pass up. The concept was refined, and in 2011, Property Brothers premiered on HGTV. The show was an instant hit. The format was simple but brilliant. Drew would help a family find a fixer-upper, and Jonathan would then transform it into their dream home. The show connected with viewers because it was about more than just renovations. It was about the emotional journey of families trying to find their perfect home. The brothers' natural chemistry and playful sibling rivalry made the show fun and relatable. The timing was perfect. The world was recovering from a housing crisis, and the show offered a message of hope. It showed people that with some smart choices and a little hard work, they could still achieve their dream of home ownership. The show's popularity exploded, airing in over 150 countries. The Scott brothers had become global stars, but as their empire grew, so did the pressure. Behind the smiling faces and perfect renovations, the strain was beginning to show. They had built a global brand, but the cost of fame was about to become terrifyingly clear. Fighting for his life. With the massive success of Property Brothers, Drew and Jonathan Scott became the kings of HGTV. They launched a series of successful spin-offs, including Brother vs. Brother, where they competed against each other, and Property Brothers, Forever Home, which helped families renovate their existing houses. Their most popular spin-off, Celebrity IOU, brought in huge Hollywood stars like Brad Pitt and Melissa McCarthy to surprise loved ones with home makeovers. The brothers also launched their own production company, Scott Brothers Entertainment, and a line of home goods called Scott Living. They were on top of the world. But behind the scenes, the pressure was immense. They were filming multiple shows at once, traveling constantly, and managing a massive business empire. The thing nobody tells you is that this level of success comes at a cost. The long hours and constant stress began to take a toll. Then, in 2019, fans started to notice something was wrong. Drew, who had always been the energetic and outgoing face of the brand, began to appear less and less in the shows. When he was on screen, he often seemed tired and subdued. Online forums were filled with rumors. Had the brothers had a falling out? Was Drew leaving the show? The truth was far more serious and something Drew was trying to handle privately. For over a year, he had been suffering from a mysterious illness. It started with what felt like the flu, but it never went away. He was constantly exhausted and had severe stomach issues. The strangest symptom was his extreme sensitivity to heat. Even a little bit of physical activity would leave him feeling completely drained. He once tried to play a game of basketball, a sport he had loved his whole life, and he felt like he was going to pass out. For a man who was used to working 16-hour days, it was terrifying. He went to countless doctors and specialists, but no one could figure out what was wrong. He underwent every test imaginable, but the results always came back inconclusive. The uncertainty was the worst part. He started to worry that he had a life-threatening illness and that he might never get better. The illness forced him to step back from filming. Jonathan had to take on a much bigger role, often handling entire episodes on his own. While the show went on, fans could feel Drew's absence. The playful dynamic that had made the show so popular was missing. For Drew, it was a heartbreaking downfall. He had spent his entire life working toward this dream, and now it felt like it was slipping away. He was not just fighting for his career. he was fighting for his health. Finally, after months of searching for answers, he found a doctor who was able to connect the dots. The diagnosis was shocking. Drew was suffering from a combination of mercury poisoning and chronic fatigue syndrome. The news was both a relief and a terror. At least now he knew what he was fighting, but the road to recovery would be long and difficult. He had a name for his illness, but the battle to reclaim his life was just beginning. More than a property brother. After receiving his shocking diagnosis, Drew Scott's life changed completely. The fast-paced world of television production was replaced by a quiet, focused journey toward healing. He had to learn to listen to his body and prioritize rest above all else. His treatment was intense, involving strict medical oversight, a complete overhaul of his diet, and therapies designed to slowly remove the toxic mercury from his system. It was a slow and often frustrating process. There were days when he felt like he was making progress, only to be hit with another wave of exhaustion. Throughout it all, his family was his rock. His brother Jonathan stepped up to handle the bulk of their business responsibilities, ensuring that their empire didn't crumble while Drew was fighting his personal battle. But his biggest source of support was Linda Fan. Drew and Linda had met back in 2010 at a fashion event. Their connection was instant, and they quickly became inseparable. Linda, a smart and grounded architectural designer, was the perfect balance for Drew's high-energy personality. After years of dating, they got married in a beautiful ceremony in Italy in 2018. Their wedding was even featured in a TV special, Drew and Linda Say I Do, giving fans a glimpse into their love story. When Drew got sick, Linda was by his side every step of the way. She helped him navigate the confusing world of medical treatments and was a constant source of emotional support. Her strength and patience were a crucial part of his recovery. As he started to heal, Drew made the brave decision to share his story with the public. He posted updates on social media, being honest about his struggles and the lessons he was learning. To put it mildly, his vulnerability was inspiring. Millions of people who were also dealing with chronic illnesses felt seen and understood. Drew showed them that it was okay to not be okay, and that asking for help is a sign of strength. Slowly but surely, Drew's health began its steady climb back from the brink. The journey wasn't quick or easy, but a grueling testament to his quiet resilience. With each passing day, a spark of his old energy returned, eventually growing into a flame bright enough to light his way back to filming. But the man who returned to the camera was not the same one who had left. The harrowing experience had fundamentally changed him, replacing his relentless ambition with a profound appreciation for his health and a deep understanding of life's delicate balance. He had been forced to learn a lesson that no amount of television success could ever teach. Then, in 2022, Drew and Linda's lives were beautifully and forever changed with the arrival of their son, Parker James Scott. Becoming a father unlocked a powerful new dimension of joy and purpose in Drew's life. He embraced this new role with the same signature passion and boundless energy he had once poured exclusively into his career, discovering a happiness far more fulfilling than any real estate deal he had ever closed. Today, Drew Scott is so much more than a property brother. He is a survivor, a husband, and a father. He and Jonathan continue to push creative boundaries with new shows like Backed by the Bros and Don't Hate Your House, and have become powerful advocates for sustainable, eco-friendly design. Did the relentless pressure of fame almost cost Drew Scott his life, or was his illness an unavoidable tragedy? Let us know your thoughts below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.